Hello and welcome. You know that moment when you're speaking and you just pause? You're wondering, should I say, I still haven't finished, or I haven't finished yet? Hey, you're not alone. Today, we are going to totally master four small but super powerful time adverbs: already, still, yet, and just. They might look similar, but trust me, choosing the right one can completely change the feeling of what you're saying. So let's dive in and unlock their secrets together. If you're nodding your head yes right now, you are in very, very good company. These little adverbs are so tricky because their real power is all about feeling and expectation, stuff that those old, rigid grammar books just don't capture. But don't you worry. By the end of this, you won't just understand the rules, you're going to feel the difference. And that right there is the real key to using them perfectly. And here it is, our secret weapon for today. We're going to throw out the rulebook, at least for a little while. Instead, we are going to give each of these words its own personality. I'm serious. By understanding the vibe each one carries, you'll just intuitively know which one to grab to sound natural and, like you. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why feeling is so important in grammar. Then we'll meet our adverb personalities: the early bird, the constant companion, and the expectant watcher. And finally, we'll introduce one last character and bring them all into the ring for a final showdown to see how they really stack up against each other. Okay, let's kick things off with our big idea: unlocking the emotion that's hiding behind the grammar. Why are we doing this? Well, because being a great communicator isn't just about being correct. It's about getting your true feelings across: your surprise, your patience, or your expectations. That's the stuff that makes you sound natural. So here's the bottom line. Picking between still, yet, and already can totally flip the emotional tone of what you're saying. It is literally the difference between sounding surprised, a little frustrated, or just expectant. Nailing this is one of the biggest steps you can take to sounding like a truly fluent natural speaker. First up, let's meet our early bird, the adverb already. And just like the name suggests, this little guy is all about things happening ahead of schedule. The whole key to understanding already is in that one little phrase: sooner than expected. Think of it as your go-to word when you want to express surprise that something is done and dusted way ahead of time. Yeah, grammatically, you'll find it tucked between a helper verb like have and the main verb, but its real job? To signal surprise. And this is just a perfect example of that feeling, isn't it? When you say this, you're not really asking for the time. You're expressing shock. You feel like the evening just started. You expected it to be earlier. That feeling of surprise, that is the personality of already. All right, let's move on to our next character. Meet still. We're calling this one the constant companion because this adverb is all about things that just keep going and going. It's about persistence. The main job of still is to tell us that a situation is exactly the same as it was before. Nothing's changed. It really emphasizes that something has been going on for a while, maybe even longer than we'd like. You'll usually find it right before the main verb or after the verb to be. This is a textbook example of that constant, unchanging state. The sentence really drives home the duration and the lack of change. He lived there before, and guess what? He lives there now. That's still doing its job perfectly. Okay, now hold on, because still has another side to it, a side that's a little more complex but so powerful. It's not just for things that are happening. You can also pop it into a negative sentence to emphasize that something you expected to happen continues not to happen. And this is where still can start to sound a little impatient, even frustrated. Just listen to the feeling in that sentence. The bus is not here is a fact. It's just information. But the bus is still not here? That's emotion. It tells you I've been waiting, I expected the bus by now, and my patience is seriously wearing thin. That is the power of still in the negative. And that little bit of frustration leads us perfectly to our third personality, yet, the expectant watcher. If still can show impatience about waiting, yet is all about the feeling of anticipation for something that we fully expect to happen. Okay, so yet kind of has two jobs, but here's the simple rule. It's almost always at the end of the sentence. In a question, it's basically asking, has that thing I'm waiting for happened? And in the negative statement, it's saying, nope, the thing I'm waiting for hasn't happened, but I'm pretty sure it will. It's all about expectation. When you hear this question, there is a very clear expectation, right? The homework was assigned, it was supposed to be done, and now someone is checking on its status. Yet is the perfect word here because it signals that this is an expected action we're asking about. And this shows the other side of yet beautifully. Saying this implies that you absolutely plan to eat. The action hasn't happened right up to this moment, but the expectation is that it will happen soon. It's just a temporary state of not having eaten. Okay, it's time to bring in our final character before we put them all head to head. Let's talk about just, and then get ready for the final showdown. The personality of just is super simple and direct. It's the breaking news. You use it for things that happened literally moments ago. If an action is really, really recent, just is the word you need to get that sense of immediacy across. The meaning here is crystal clear, isn't it? The phone call didn't happen yesterday, or even an hour ago. It happened a moment ago. That's the fresh, immediate power of just. All right, this is it. This is where it all comes together. We've met all the personalities. Now we're going to put them in the same room, the same sentence even, and see how they interact. This comparison is the real key to mastering these nuances. Okay, look at this table. This is where it's all going to click. Let's start with that first row, a negative situation. If you say he is still not here, you can almost hear the foot tapping, the frustration. You've been waiting. But if you say he is not here yet, the tone is way more neutral. It's a simple fact, and you expect him to show up soon. Now the questions. Is he still here? That's surprise that he hasn't left. You thought he'd be gone. Is he here yet? That's just pure expectation. You're waiting for him to arrive. But is he here already? That's shock. He's way earlier than you thought. See how that one little word completely transforms the feeling of the exact same situation? The adverb is everything. So let's do one last roll call of our personalities. We have already, the early bird, for things that happen sooner than you thought. We have still, the constant companion, for situations that just keep on going. Then there's yet, the expectant watcher, for things you're waiting for. And finally, just, the breaking news, for what happened only moments ago. So the next time you're about to speak, just take half a second. Think about the feeling you want to share. Is it surprise? You've got already. Is it persistence? Maybe a little frustration? That's a job for still. Is it all about expectation? Go with yet. And for immediacy, just is your word. You now have the tools to choose with total confidence. So the only question left is, which of these powerful little words are you going to use first to make your English sound amazing today?